I never thought I'd be making this video, but Marlow might actually be innocent. And when I say this is the biggest plot twist I've ever seen, I'm not even joking. So buckle up, because this is about to be crazy. But before I show you the new evidence, thank you so much for 10,000 subscribers. Let's aim for 20k next, so subscribe and drop a like on the video if you learned something new. Okay, so if you've been following the Marlow situation at all, you know that almost everyone is convinced she was cheating. Like, there was the handcam video where Swight pointed out she only hit 10% of her shield stuns instead of a normal 99%. There was the Vaxay stall where she avoided playing on a server with good anti-cheat for 6 hours. Like, dude, the evidence was looking really bad for her. And honestly, most people, including me, thought it was pretty much over, like she was cooked. But then someone sent an anonymous document to a YouTuber named Duty28. And this document has statistical analysis comparing two of Marlow's fights. One fight that people think she was cheating in, and one fight that was recorded on the same laptop that got PC checked in a hacking is bad video. So like one fight where she might have been cheating and one fight where she definitely wasn't, because it was on a clean PC checked laptop. And dude, when you see what the numbers actually show, it's kinda crazy. So let me give you some context first. There was this content creator named Mario617 who did analysis on Marlow's fight against Legendary. And he calculated that Marlow had a 99% shield break accuracy over 3 hours of gameplay. Like 99%? And he said that's basically impossible for a human. And the accusation was that she was using some kind of auto shield breaker or macro. And honestly, this became one of the most talked about pieces of evidence against Marlow. Like, everyone was pointing to this 99% number and saying, dude, there's no way that's legit. But here's where things get interesting. This new anonymous document reanalyzed the same fight, and they found something completely different. They counted all of Marlow's X-swap attempts in the fight against Legendary. And here's what they found. She had 203 successful shield breaks. She had 2 blocked attacks, and she had 43 failed X-swaps where she hit Legendary directly instead of hitting his shield. And when you calculate the shield break accuracy with this method, it's 81.85%. Wait, didn't Mario Kart say it was 99%? And then they did the same thing for a fight against Corrupted Noob, which was on the PC checked laptop where she couldn't have been cheating. And in that fight, she had 110 shield breaks, 18 block attacks, and 7 failed X-swaps. And her accuracy was 81.48%. Dude, those numbers are basically identical, like 81.48% versus 81.85%. That's a 0.37% difference. And not gonna lie, when I first saw this, I was like, wait, what? Because everyone's been talking about this 99% number for weeks, and it turns out the methods they use were just different. So why the huge difference between 99% and 81.85%? And this is actually really important. Mario Kart 617's calculation probably only counted successful swaps versus shields encountered, like times when she swapped and the shield was there. But the new analysis counts all X-swap attempts, including the times when she swapped but missed the shield entirely and hit the player instead. And that's a big difference, because if you're using an auto shield breaker, you wouldn't miss the shield 43 times. Like, an auto shield breaker detects when the shield is up and automatically does the swap. So if she had an auto shield breaker, she should have 0 failed swaps, or at least way less than 43. But she had 43 failed swaps where she hit Legendary instead of the shield. And honestly, that's pretty strong evidence that she's not using an auto shield breaker, because the whole point of an auto shield breaker is that it only activates when it detects a shield. So it shouldn't be hitting the player 43 times. But okay, some people might say, well, maybe she's using a manually activated macro. Like a macro that she triggers with a hotkey on her keyboard, and when she activates it at the wrong time, she gets a failed swap. And dude, that's possible, like the failed swaps don't rule out a manual macro. But here's where the frame count analysis comes in. So the document also analyzed how many frames Marlow held the axe during each swap, and they did this for both fights. The fight against Legendary where people think she was cheating, and the fight against Corrupted Noob where she definitely wasn't, because it was on a PC checked laptop. And dude, the results are actually kind of shocking. In the Legendary fight, her average frame count was 3.1 frames with a variation of 1.3 frames. In the Corrupted Noob fight, her average frame count was 2.8 frames with a variation of 1.3 frames. So she was actually faster when playing legit. Like, a legitimate play on the PC checked laptop was faster than the fight people accused her of cheating in. And not gonna lie, that's the opposite of what you'd expect if she was using a macro. And they did a statistical test called a chi-square test. and the p-value was 0.27. In statistics, a p-value over 0.05 means there's no significant difference. So basically, the statistical test is saying that the differences between these two fights can be explained by normal random variation. Like, it's not evidence of an external factor like a macro, it's just normal human inconsistency. And the consistency between the two fights was also really similar. Like, the coefficient of variation was only 4.4% different, so she's playing with similar consistency in both fights. And honestly, if she was using a macro in one fight and not the other, you'd expect to see a bigger difference in consistency. So what does all of this maths mean? I know y'all are just here for the conclusion, so basically, this document is saying that the evidence for Marlow using an auto shield breaker or even a macro for axe swapping in the SMP kit is way weaker than people thought. Like, the 99% accuracy number was misleading. The actual accuracy is about 81% in both fights. She has 43 failed swaps, which argues against an auto shield breaker. Her frame counts are actually faster when playing legit. And the statistical tests show no significant difference between the suspected cheating fight and the legitimate fight. And dude, I'm not gonna lie, this is a pretty big deal, because so many people were pointing to the shield break accuracy as proof that she was cheating. And now it turns out that evidence is way less solid than we thought. But before you start thinking Marlow is completely innocent, we need to talk about the problems with this analysis, because there are quite a lot. First, the frame count analysis was done in second person POV. Like, from the opponent's perspective, not from Marlow's perspective. And the document admits that second person POV is highly inaccurate. Like, they found some swaps that registered as 0 frames, which is mechanically impossible. You can't do an action in literally 0 milliseconds. But it shows up as 0 frames because of lag, visual glitches, and the fact that it's being viewed from the opponent's screen. So the individual frame counts are unreliable. But the document argues that because both fights have the same systematic error, you can still compare them to each other. Like, they are both equally inaccurate, so the comparison is still valid. And honestly, that makes sense. Second, there's a shield stun accuracy difference. In the corrupted noob fight, 80.9% of shield breaks resulted in stuns. But in the legendary fight, 92.14% resulted in stuns. That's a 12% difference. And the document creator left this up to the community to decide. Like, is a 12% difference something that can happen naturally? Or is it evidence of a stun macro? And honestly, I don't know, it could go either way. Different opponents, different fight dynamics, natural variants. Or it could be evidence of some kind of assistance. The document doesn't give a clear answer on this one. And third, this analysis only covers the SMP kit. Like, it only looks at shield breaking mechanics in SMP mode. It doesn't address the trigger bot evidence from other kits. It doesn't address the aim assist allegations. It doesn't address the frame perfect attribute swaps in Mace PvP. So even if this proves she's not using an auto shield breaker in SMP, it doesn't clear her of anything. But here's the most suspicious thing about this entire situation. And this is what really bothers me. Marlow recorded this fight against Legendary, and she included 2 hours of other footage in her hacking is bad video. But she didn't include the 20-minute SMP fight. Instead, her opponent posted the footage online in second person view. And dude, why would she do that? Like, if she has first person footage that would show exactly what's happening with perfect frame counts and no error, why wouldn't she include it? And the document creator literally addresses Marlow directly and says, "You're making it even harder for people to defend you." There's just no possible valid explanation to not putting it in. And honestly, I agree. Like, if the first person footage would clear her name, she would have included it. The fact that she chose not to release it is really suspicious. And it makes you wonder what's in that footage that she doesn't want people to see. So where does this leave us? Honestly, I think the situation is way more complicated than people thought. Because on one hand, this document does weaken the argument that Marlow is using an auto shield breaker in SMP. Like, the 99% accuracy was misleading. The actual numbers show similar performance in both fights, and the failed swaps argue against an automated system. But on the other hand, this doesn't clear her of everything. The trigger bot evidence from other analysis is still there. The Vaxay stall is still unexplained. The missing first person footage is still suspicious, and the 12% shield stun difference could still indicate something. And I think the most likely explanation is that Marlow is a selective cheater. Like, she uses different tools for different situations. She might use a trigger bot in some kits but not others. She might cheat when she's not being monitored but play clean when she knows she's being watched. Like the corrupted noob fight was on a PC check laptop, so she had to play legit. But in other situations where there's no PC check and no handcam, maybe she uses assistance. And honestly, that will explain why the evidence is so contradictory. Like some analyzers show clear proof of her cheating, but this analysis shows legitimate play, and the difference might just be context. When she's being monitored, she plays clean. When she's not, she uses tools. So is Marlow innocent? Honestly, I don't know anymore, bro. This document shows that in one specific context, the SMP kid with a PC check laptop, she played legitimately. But it doesn't prove she never cheats. It doesn't explain all of the other evidence. And it doesn't explain why she's hiding first-person footage that could clear her name. But what I do know is that this situation is way bigger than just Marlow is definitely cheating or Marlow is definitely innocent. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. And we need more evidence before we can say for sure. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think this new analysis clears Marlow's name, or do you think it just shows she's smart enough to play clean when she knows she's being watched? And what do you make of the missing first-person footage? Like, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think because this is such a complicated situation. And if you guys want to stay updated on this and see what happens when Marlow releases her promised response video, make sure to hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. Click another video up on screen right now and I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye!